Remember, tip 101 from Des was to bring your venison up to room temperature before cooking. So I've brought it out of the fridge and now I'm going to put it over here for about 20 to 30 minutes before I go and cook that. Now, a lot of people tell me that they can't find venison, but it's very readily available in a lot of good supermarkets. So you can get this beautiful farm-raised venison in all good supermarkets. So what I'm going to make today is a pan-fried venison with a bit of parsnip mash and a berry reduction. Now, you want to remove the core part of the parsnip, the little woody bit, because it really doesn't go well in your parsnip mash. So I'm just going to cut it out, and you can just get rid of that. Cut it down. So you want to quarter your parsnips and remove the little woody bit, like that. So I've chopped up all my parsnip, and I'm going to put it into cold water into a saucepan, and we're going to bring that up to boil for roughly about 10 minutes, but you want them nice and soft so that when you puree it, it's going to be all nice and creamy. Now, onto our venison herb rub. So we want a mortar and pestle. We're going to put some juniper berries in. We've got some peppercorns, some thyme, fresh thyme. You want to make sure that you get rid of all the stems so that you've just got the leaves. A little bit of sea salt. And then grind it up. So I'm going to give this a good grind. Now, if you don't have one of these, wrap your spices up in some Glad wrap and use a rolling pin. It works. So now that I've got a paste, I'm just going to release a little bit of this with some high heat oil. Now I'm using high heat oil because it's got a high smoke point, and you're going to be cooking your venison at a very high heat. So give it a mix up. Give it a good stir and really blend it together. And then you've got your herb rub. So our venison's been well rested by now. Now this is exactly how it comes out of the packet. It's all ready to go and there's no wastage. So you just want to get rid of all the excess moisture, just pat it all out. And then you're going to rub your herb rub onto it. Now, the thing I find with farmed venison is that it has a mild but very beautiful distinct flavour still, and it goes really well with the thyme and the juniper berries. So you're just going to spoon that over and rub them in. Also at the end of it, I'm just going to put a little bit more salt in, because remember what Des said. He said to season, season, season. You know, I don't think we season enough as home cooks. So I'm just going to rub that in. Excellent, last one, and I've got enough. So I'm going to turn on our stovetop to a high heat and get that up nice and warm. Now remember, we're not going to put the oil in until the pan's at a hot heat. Now I'm going to season a little bit more. This is warming up nice and hot. I'm going to add a little bit of oil, your high heat oil. So the oil's in, we're bringing it up to temperature, and now I'm going to add in the venison medallions. Now the thing is, when you're cooking these medallions or venison, it's very low fat count, so you've got to be really careful and really quick. You don't want to overcook it. Now you'll also realise that Des put his into the oven. I'm not going to. He was using the rump piece. I'm cooking with the medallion, so it's a different cut. Another really good thing about venison is it's super high in iron, and it's got the healthy heart tick, so it's really good for you. So if you want to check how they're done, you can just give them a little touch, and then if you check here, it's rare, check here, it's medium, and on your forehead, it's well done. So I touch there, and it's perfect, it's medium, it's ready to go. So we're going to put the medallions onto a plate to rest, and then we'll make our sauce. Now we can use the same pan for the sauce. So just lower the heat a bit. We've got a bit of shallots, whack them in, a little bit of garlic, add that. Now, when you're doing shallots or garlic, you only want to make them translucent. You don't want to brown them. We're just going to caramelize them a bit. And it's okay if you've got a bit of the venison residue left over, because we're just going to add that into our flavour of sauce. It smells good. Okay, they're caramelized, so now we're going to crank up the heat and in with the red wine. Be careful not to splash it on your clothes. And what you want to do is bring it up to a boil so that you can actually burn off the alcohol. Now, what I like to do is to put a little bit of either port wine jelly or some red currant jelly to sweeten it up. If you don't have that, don't worry, you can use a little bit of sugar, but do it right at the end because you want to taste it before you go and season it because you can't take the seasoning out. So I've got my cooked parsnip and now I'm going to make the parsnip mash. I'm going to put it into the Breville whiz right here, get it all in there, and you want some warm milk because you don't want to cool your parsnip down with cold milk. So we've got some warm milk, just top it in there, not too much. So I'm using milk instead of cream so that I can allow myself to have a little bit of butter. If you're worried about using butter, a little tip from the Sanitarium Nutrition Service is it's great with avocado oil. On with the lid. All right, I'm just going to season this with a little bit of sea salt. Now, I'm going to use white pepper because I don't want specks of black pepper all through it because it looks like you've got little bits of dirt in it, and you don't need much at all. And give it another last little whiz, mix it up, and voila. Double dipping. Perfect. Now we're good to go. Sauce is reducing just fine. You're going to have a little taste, and you'll notice that it needs some sweetening. Like I said before, you could use a little bit of port wine or a little bit of red currant jelly, but I'm just going to use some sugar because that's all I've got in my pantry. A little bit of sugar. And give that a stir. Last step, handful of berries. Now we're ready to plate up. So first of all, I'm going to put some of this beautiful creamy parsnip mash on. Smear that around. Now I've got this beautifully rested farm grazed venison that I'm going to put onto my plate here. Nice and medium. I blanched off some broccoli, give it a bit of colour, and finally, for the sauce, our berry sauce. Now don't be afraid of it. Put it all over the venison and around the plate. There you have it, an easy, elegant, beautiful venison dish. After the break, I'm off to my garden to get some fresh lettuce for my roast veggie and mustard vinaigrette salad. Growing your own herbs and veggies is both cost-effective and rewarding. There's nothing like taking something straight from the garden to your plate. It's so easy to grow your own veggie garden nowadays. Even if you've only got a small space, you can always grow it in containers or pots like these. I'm going to grab some lettuce for my dish, but did you know that once you start to pick your lettuce, within the first 24 hours, you'll start to lose its nutrients and you'll lose some of that flavour and that goodness as well. So it's best to have them at hand. I find this is a great gourmet seed range for your more specialty vegetables like your purple carrots or your Mizuna lettuce. It creates that wow factor in your home cooking. So you all know what it's like to have leftover vegetables from the Sunday night roast. If you're lucky enough to get to it before your husband or your partner does, then you can make this awesome salad dressing to zhuzh it up a bit, and we can make a mean salad. The important thing about making a salad dressing is to know what oils to use, because it's no point using the wrong oil, like a high heat oil or something. So I'm using the Olivado Omega Plus oil, which is full of your 3s, 6s and 9s omega oils. I've just put a tablespoon of Dijon mustard, and a 1/4 cup of the white wine vinegar. So don't worry too much about the quantities, because if you make too much, it lasts in the fridge in an airtight container. So just whisk it up, give it a good mix, and taste as you go along. And you can always adjust it, just a little bit more salt, a little bit more pepper. Give it a good whisk. Yes, you might need a little bit of oil in there. See how it's thickening up? So just a little bit more of the Omega Plus. And we're going to season, bit of pepper, cracked pepper, bit of salt, a little bit more. Once you've given it a good whisk, you want to leave it for about 15-20 minutes, half an hour is even better, for the flavours to infuse before you go and mix it through your salad. Now, while we're waiting, I'm going to take you through a little bit of an experiment, but just be careful. I wouldn't do this at home, and if you are going to try it, make sure you've got a really good extractor fan. So you've got some avocado oil in this pan and some olive oil in this pan. Now, you may have heard of the term smoke point. It's the temperature at which the oil gets to before it starts to burn, which is what you don't want. So I'm going to crank up the heat here, and I'm going to bring these to their smoke point. You'll see that the olive oil will hit the smoke point a lot sooner than the avocado oil, as the avocado oil has a smoke point of 255 degrees, where the olive oil sits at about 170. So it's super important to know exactly what oils to use for what. I've got some bread here, so I'm going to show you how it burns. So already I can see that the olive oil is starting to burn at that temperature, whereas the avocado oil is still heating up. Unfortunately, people are burning their oil way before they even start cooking, which is just a recipe for disaster. So you want to make sure that you're using the right oil for the right recipe. The exact same heat, the exact same time, and you can see I'm burning my bread. Whereas over here, this is looking great. But I'm going to have to throw this out. So I'm going to turn this off. And I'm going to keep this cooking a little bit longer because I've got a beautiful salad that I'm making, and I'd rather just toast off a nice piece of ciabatta bread and have it with my salad. When it burns, it becomes carcinogenic, which is poison for your body. Imagine a sausage or a piece of fish doing this. Would you eat it? No, I don't think so. So as you can see, there's oils for salad dressing and there's oils for different heats. They each have a purpose in the kitchen. Back to the dressing. Give it a final whisk and a taste, and yummy. On to our salad. Roasted vegetables, some iron from your spinach. If you're going to use iron, have it with some vitamin C, which we get from our capsicum because it helps the body absorb it. So a bit of vitamin C, some steamed beans. Actually, let's add it all. And onto the salad dressing. Just pour it over like that. I'm a bit handy, so I'm just going to get in there with my hands and toss it out. If you want, you can use a spoon, but that's no fun. And once it's all mixed up, you're just going to chuck it onto a bed of lettuce, homegrown lettuce that is, from my garden. Whack it on top, bit of sesame seeds, toasted sesame seeds just to top it off. And there you have it, a beautiful healthy salad with your homemade Omega Plus dressing. Baby, I love it. For the recipes featured on tonight's show and the chance to win fabulous prizes, see the Savour section inside this week's Herald on Sunday. Next week I talk eggplant with one of New Zealand's best known foodies, Julie Busso, and cook up a delicious and versatile steamed apple pudding.